The latest on SpaceX. Shares shedding hundreds of billions in market value. Now, this comes after the company said it was selling investment-grade bonds for the first time.
SpaceX not giving the bulls much to cheer about, off 10% today, down 3 days straight. It hit a high of 225 last week and is back to 165.
Hello everybody. So SpaceX just lost 600 billion and dropped like 30%. So I decided I'll make a quick video about it, and we'll just start right through it. So first, let's start with the basics. So SpaceX went public on June 12th. It was the biggest IPO in history with 135 dollars a share, raised 75 billion. And then 3 days later, the stock hit 225, 67% gain, briefly surpassed Amazon and Microsoft, and market cap hit $2.6 trillion. So it was looking good, but then it fell and fell and fell. 3 consecutive trading days, down 24.94%, closed Monday at 154.60 cents, down 30% from the high, wiped out roughly 600 billion in market value. 600 billion in 3 days. IG's chief market analyst said it best: as surely as night follows day, SpaceX reversal has arrived, bringing the shares back down to the earth. So what happened? And more importantly, is this a buying opportunity or a trap? So also I have a visual IPO price timeline right here. So you can just look at this. I'll leave it on here for a second, and we can move on to the second right here. So first, let's talk about the IPO itself, because this wasn't a normal IPO. Only about 4% to 5% of SpaceX shares were actually available for trading. The rest locked up with insiders, Elon Musk early investors, employees. That's called a tiny float. And when a tiny float meets massive retail demand, you get a rocket ship. Retail investors bought a net 405 million worth of SpaceX shares in the first 5 trading days. That's more than combined net buying across all Magnificent 7 stocks during the same period. But here's where it gets interesting. 2 of the 3 major index providers bent their rules for this IPO. The S&P 500 said no. SpaceX has to wait 12 months and show 4 quarters of profit. That tells you everything. So again, visual index inclusion rule changes right here. You can check it out. Cut away from 3 months to 15 days. Needs 12 months plus 4 profitable quarters. Said no, bad rules, bad rules. So why, oh shit, what am I doing? Why it crashed? Reason 1, the valuation was insane. SpaceX reported a net loss of 4.9 billion in 2025 and another 4.28 billion loss in Q1 2026. At its peak, it was worth 2.6 trillion on negative earnings. Morningstar estimated fair value at around 780 billion. Reason 2, the Cursor deal. SpaceX announced it was acquiring AI coding startup Cursor for 60 billion in stock. 3.4% dilution. Morningstar lowered their fair value estimate from $63 to $62. Reason 3, the bond sale. SpaceX announced its first ever bond offering, reportedly around $20 billion. They have around 100 billion in cash, but they're still borrowing. That spooked investors. And reason 4, the lockup. Only 4.2% of shares are publicly tradable. 22V Research estimates insiders could potentially sell up to 44% of shares by early September. Elon Musk's stake is locked until June 2027. So we have visual on here, the reasons why it crashed. Pretty much valuation, Cursor deal, bond sale, lockup. just like a summary. So you can read it if you want. It's pretty much just what I read right now. So the 4 exit liquidity problem. Legendary investor Chris Camilo or whatever you read this, who turned $84,000 into $42 million, isn't buying, not because it's a bad company, because the time to buy was the last 6 years when it was still private. He bought in at a 30 billion valuation, the IPO priced at roughly 1.75 trillion. That's a 58x increase. Camelo, why would we pay 6x what we could have bought this? Wait, why am I reading like a fucking robot? Sorry about that. Why would we pay 6x what we could have bought this for like just a very short time ago? Here's the trap. If the stock rises 30% to about $175, early investors are allowed to sell early. That's a lockup trigger. The same people who bought a 30 billion can now sell at 175. The retail investors who bought at 135 are providing the liquidity for insiders to exit. Camilo, the integrity of financial markets is not just broken, it's gone. So lockup, the visual lockup unlock schedule plus the 58x stat. So Q2 earnings 20 to 30%. Just a little visual right here. Yeah. So as you can see, private 30 billion to IPO 1%, 1.75 trillion, 58x. So 5, the bull case. Not everyone is bearish. Oppenheimer analyst Timothy Horan has $250 price target. He says the Cursor deal is beneficial for both sides. Cursor gets SpaceX computing power, SpaceX gets Cursor's AI technology. The average analyst price target on tip ranks is $222, implying 44% upside from current levels. And the company is still growing. Starlink has over 600 satellites across 164 countries. They're building space-based data centers. They have contracts with Google and Anthropic. Chris Wood calls SpaceX one of the most extraordinary companies ever built. But here's the question. So we'll get right into that. But we have this visual right here for the... So number 6, the size problem. Justin Spittler, if SpaceX is going to double from here over the next few months to a year, the market conditions would have to be super risk on, and if that were to happen, a lot of smaller stocks would go up a lot more. Read that again. If SpaceX doubles from 2 trillion to 4 trillion, it's competing with Apple and Nvidia. A 5 billion company doubling to 10 billion is much easier. Chris Riley, the most exciting company in the world isn't automatically the best investment. Size and valuation matter, and the biggest gains often come not from the headline story but from the smaller companies riding in its wave. In its wake, sorry about it. So SpaceX 2 trillion to 4 trillion, now rivaling with Apple and Nvidia. Small cap 5 billion to 10 billion, just 2x far easier. So conclusion, SpaceX is an extraordinary company, is building rockets, satellites, AI infrastructure, and space-based internet. Elon Musk has a vision that spans decades. But vision doesn't pay the bills. Right now, the company loses billions of dollars, trades at 100 times sales, and faces a wave of insider selling that could flood the market. The 600 billion job isn't a crash, it's a reality check. The IPO hype was priced for perfection. Reality is never perfect. Camilo's advice, there are so many great investment opportunities right now and you're just spinning your wheels following the herd. The time to buy SpaceX was the last 6 years. That window is closed. Question now isn't whether SpaceX is a great company. It is. So at 154 discount or exit liquidity. So this was a short video I made. I just read through the tabs I make just like I did in the previous one, because it's a lot easier to do that than just remember it all of it. So I hope you enjoyed it, and join my Discord, because a lot of the stuff that I said here I was mentioning a lot sooner. Like I was saying that SpaceX is like a rug pull, so I advise to don't buy it yet. So join my Discord to be early and to have the to see my analysis and my setup that I get everything in depth. It's the first link in the description of the video. So yeah, I'll see you all next time.